Hi, it's me, MC. So I'm coming on here live because I really want to talk more about this idea of how we think about aging. Because I guess it's on my mind, as I get older, I want to think about how we can interpret what we think about aging. Does it make us afraid? Are we burying our heads in the sand? Are we thinking about things that we can do to help ourselves? Are we making a plan? Are we just ignoring things about how we're getting older? Let's talk about that because I think we can have a tool that'll help us as we get older. So please think about subscribing. I would love to see you here every day or every week because that's what it's all about. It's about connecting and sharing and working together to inspire each other to be functional well into our 80s and 90s. That's really the key. If we're getting older, and guess what? We all are getting older, no matter what. Everyone ages, and that's the truth of being a human being. Maybe one day, Elon Musk will have determined a way that we can join ourselves with AI, and that might make us live longer. I don't know if I want to live eternally, but the truth is that we need to have a tool called self-awareness. And I love that Gary Vaynerchuk talks about self-awareness all the time because it is truly one of the greatest things that we as a human being can use that can allow ourselves to understand where we are right now, where we were coming from in the past, and where are we headed in the future. Because when we're self-aware, we can definitely understand like what are our changes, what's changing as we get older. Where are we seeing things that where we need to physically adapt or cognitively adapt or emotionally adapt or socially adapt? I know for me, with my husband passing 10 years ago, finding some kind of social adaptiveness is key. Understanding how we can support ourselves when a very dear loved one passes, or dear friends, or people move, or people do things that really change your social dynamic. I had a very dear friend, two friends actually, pass away due to colon cancer. I've had some other friends that I knew in my high school and college days, and they have passed away. So, how do we help ourselves? And what does self awareness really mean when we think about self awareness? Is it something where we can understand exactly where we are right now? What is it that we're doing right now? How are we physically? How are we mentally? How are we emotionally? And how are we maybe spiritually? And also, too, how are we with our social kind of gatherings? We need to think about all of these things in a very concrete way, not in a judgmental way, but maybe a descriptive way. I know for me, as I am working out how to face growing older, approaching 70 in 2.5 years, and that's, well, I don't even know if it's 2.5 years now. I think it's more like 2 years and a few months. It's truly something that you have to keep thinking about. How do we stay present to who we are right now? And what is it that we can do every day? And that's really the key. What can we do every single day to keep ourselves connected to who we are so that we can be the very best version of who we want to be in our 80s and 90s? That's really the truth. And it takes something like doing something every day. We have to put in because our bodies and our mind and our emotions and our social connections, they change as we get older. No matter what we decide to do, everything changes with age. Nothing stays the same. I mean, there can be some things about who we are as a person, our values, our ethics, the way that we love and work with family. All of those can kind of be similar, but I think many of the other things are something that change with aging. Our bodies change physically. We have cells that no longer reproduce themselves as well as they did when we were younger. We have our minds, they are challenged unless we really work diligently to keep them fresh and moving in the right direction with challenges so that we're constantly learning and challenging our brain to give it new connections of neurons, because that's really what's so wonderful. We have learned in the scientific research field that we can truly do something if we are engaging in physical activity every day, mental activity every day. We're doing something about our emotional wellness, and we're doing something to stay connected to others, because being in a social network really helps. I keep thinking of the wonderful story of the research that was done by a group of nuns where they had all donated their brains to science. And they discovered that this group of nuns who did these daily tasks and they were engaged in this social network of doing things with each other every day. And they supported one another in a holistic way that I guess being a part of the nuns is about. I wouldn't know. I'm not a nun. I've never been a nun. But I think that's what's so tremendous. They discovered that when these women donated their brains to science, there was evidence that their brains had some signs of Alzheimer's. They had plaque in their brains that demonstrated that they were challenged cognitively. And the theory is, or the idea is by the scientists, is that this community of nuns supported one another. So if there were some deficits that were there, it probably was nominal. They were minor deficits instead of something major. If you're living alone, if you don't have social engagement, if you're not challenging your thinking every day, you're not doing things physically. Truly, we have to take a daily action for ourselves to be engaged in being the very best version of who we are. That is really the reality of being a human being. And the more that we can be aware of that process, how is our body changing? How is our hearing changing? How is our vision changing? Are we seeing our doctors? Are we staying in touch with what's going on with our bodies? Do we understand what we need to do to check in if something feels not quite right? We need to be consciously engaged in what's happening. And truthfully, for the first time ever, science has devices that we can wear and use that give us more information about our health parameters than ever before. I'm going to be giving a talk tomorrow morning that is all about the relationship between stress and our cardiovascular components. The more we have stress, the more it taxes our heart. The more we can learn how to de-stress ourselves, the better we can have heart health. And there's so many things out there that help us look at our heart rate, help us look at our heart, what they call variability. It helps us track how well we're sleeping. It helps us investigate how well we're moving when we do move. Are we challenging our bodies in a way that will help ourselves be cardio fitness, to have, good heart and lung condition? Are we working towards the best version of ourselves in some ways? I know sometimes this sounds very difficult and hard, but truthfully, the science shows that if you'll just do a little bit, they say 150 minutes a week is the amount of exercise that's recommended. That's not a whole lot, guys. I mean, maybe it's 20 minutes a day. Think about it. If you do a little bit of walking twice a day, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, you've already got your 30 minutes a day. And by the end of the week, you've done 210 minutes. Or you do a little light lifting of some weights. You have to start somewhere. And I know this from my own personal experience. Last year, I had a hip replacement that was not very easy. I was out of commission from June until about October. So I'm just now kind of getting back into that, rhythm of moving, of getting my body moving, of doing the exercises, of finding ways to challenge myself physically with some weights, with doing that daily workout of some kind, with some bands, doing those walks with my dog for 20 to 30 minutes every day. And truthfully, when you look at it, we can really take small steps every single day, and our investment towards our physical health will pay off. It will show up. I can feel it already. Even though I'm not making big steps every single day, like I'm not working out like crazy, I'm not pouring sweat. I'm basically doing a very short exercise routine that is limited. I put the timer on and I do a very short, limited exercise routine with some bands, some weights, some moving in place. And once the timer goes off, I'm done. I give myself a little reward because I keep a sticker that demonstrates I did it. And every month, I will increase how much that time is slowly so that over time, I start to adapt a new way of helping myself physically. And we can do that in many ways, because one of the biggest things that demonstrates our cognitive health is reading and handwriting. Isn't that wild? And it's very disturbing that they're removing the learning of, longhand writing in school so that people are not really learning how to write. They're printing or they're typing. They're not learning how to make their letters. And truthfully, for our brain health, it's very helpful to write every day. So, making a commitment to learn every day something by reading, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot, it can be something small and short. Or you can do something by writing in a journal every day, or learn something, learn a passage of your favorite song lyrics, or your favorite poem, or your favorite Bible verse, or your favorite mantra, anything. Memorizing and working with language is so powerful for keeping our brains healthy. So, those tools are simple and they don't take a lot of time. And it's very straightforward. What we can do is small tasks that add up over time. It kind of builds on itself until eventually you have this sort of schedule that incorporates these elements into your life. They don't feel like something that you have to do, they feel like something that I must do. It feels like part of the fiber of my life is that I get up and I journal. I get up and I move. I get up and I do some reading. I get up and I do some writing. All of these things are simple tasks that we can do every single day. So it invests into that person that we want to continue to be well into our 80s and 90s. I want to be, and I hope you do too. Hope you want to be this beautiful, thriving person well into your 80s and 90s, that you have the same kind of function and you have the same beautiful aspirations about your life as I do, because truthfully, we never know when our last breath will be taken on this earth. And the more that we can give ourselves attention in the moment, where we can be present to who we are with the self awareness that, yes, if it is icy outside, like it's been here in New York, we've gotten 14 inches of snow and tonight it's going to freeze over. I'm going to go out walking with a large walking stick and some special shoes with my dog because guess what? I do not want to slip and fall. And I think anybody of any age would want to do that. But I recognize that maybe my balance as someone who's in her late 60s may not be as sharp as when it was younger. So I can give myself a little extra support by just carrying a walking stick when it's icy outside and wearing some special shoes. That's all it means, is that give ourselves the tools that we need every single day so that we can put together a plan to have what we need as we get older. Things are going to change. We're going to face some health issues. Maybe our vision starts to become less accurate. We get maybe a little hearing loss, or we have a little bit of memory loss, like I was doing the other day. I couldn't remember the name of Robert Duvall, the actor who just passed. And literally, I can't remember the name of the actor who was Mr. McSteamy in Grey's Anatomy. I can't remember his name, but he passed of ALS at a very young age, 53. I'm sure he didn't see that illness coming. None of us will. None of us see what is coming in front of us. But if we have done what we need every day, physically giving ourselves the love and care of doing some movement, lifting some weights, doing some reading, doing some simple journaling or writing, anything that keeps us physically and mentally connected to who we are in the moment is truly something that gives us a great power. I talk about mindfulness a lot because I've trained in mindfulness for over, I don't know, maybe 15 years. And the power that mindfulness gives you about really being able to reach over and feel a glass in your hand, and that you feel the coolness of the glass in your hand, you feel the weight of it in your hand, you see the water in there, you feel the other hand touching it, you feel your lips against the straw, and then as you take a drink of water, you feel the coolness of the water in your mouth and the fluid going into your mouth and into your system. There's nothing better than being present in the moment with everything. And the more that we can do that for ourselves, the more connected to who we are as we live our life is truly a gift. And it is a skill. I think that the way that we have negative thoughts flying through our brains all the time, and negativity surrounds us in so many ways in our society and our culture, that if we don't fight it aggressively, we feel defeated. It starts pummeling us with these negative thoughts. We have negative thoughts going on and on and on. And I have this wonderful book I'm reading right now by Josh Pais. It's called Lose Your Mind. And it's phenomenal because he does talk about how do you stay present with your physical, energetic body. And you really have to let go of how you're thinking and give yourself the presence of being in the moment. And it's a skill. You have to work at it. You have to let go of the chatter. You have to let go of what's tomorrow. You have to let go of what was yesterday, or what didn't I get done today, or what do I have to do tomorrow. Maybe I know I have to give myself a few minutes of that because tomorrow I have to be prepared for my talk. And I also have some other things I have to be prepared for. But the truth is, I'll give a few minutes to it. I don't have to give hours and hours. And then when I go to sleep, I'm, brooding over what have I got to do, blah, 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 blah. No, I've let it go. And now it's time to allow myself to rest and to get into a place of deep relaxation. And you can do that again with a breath exercise or a body scan. All of these are amazing skills for mindfulness, and I adore them. There's something that allows you to let go of that negative chatter that we all walk around with. I'm not enough. I'm not pretty. I'm old. I'm not capable. I'm comparing myself to the next door person, or the person I saw on Instagram, or I've never achieved this, or so and so has that. This is nonstop in our brains. And unless we really allow ourselves to say, I'm cutting that off, I'm stopping that dead in its tracks. I'm going to allow myself to be present in my body. How am I feeling right now? How do I feel with myself sitting in this chair, the light on my face, talking to you and feeling so happy to connect and share and encourage? Because truthfully, that's what it's taught me, to motivate myself and to share with others this power of being present in the moment. And I think also, too, I've done so much improvisation for so many years, and it's like a gift. It's like entering a beautiful space where there's no judgment, none. And you don't judge anything. You just be present to the gift of creativity in the moment. And it is a gift. And every human being gives us that gift of being a creative spirit. That's nothing that AI can ever do. We are a living, breathing, biological, energetic, singularly unique creatures that are not like anyone else in the world. And honoring that by being present with who we are is a blessing. So I hope that you will be encouraged today by looking into more self awareness for yourself, investigating mindfulness, and maybe join me in March when I'm going to do some live mindfulness classes and let yourself be truly present with the people you love, with the activities you enjoy, and don't allow yourself to let that negative chatter take over. And that's really what we have to put aside and say, I'm not paying attention to you. I'm going to kill that part of my chatter, right? So, this is MC again. I've done over 30 years of research in the scientific field in neurology, but mostly all of it's been behavioral health because that's really what's most important with me is who are we as a whole person. And basically, the biggest thing that it's taught me is that having the self awareness and the presence of mind is a power. It's a power that we bring as human beings to ourselves every single day. And the more we can connect to that inner power of being present in the moment, the more it offers us these gifts every day of the feelings of the beauty of the sunshine, the coldness of the winter, the pleasure of petting our dogs, our cats, of our partner being with us, the presence that we can bring to each other and ourselves is immense. It's immense. So please think about subscribing. I would love to see you here each week where we can share and motivate one another to be the very best version of who we are well into our 80s and 90s. And remember, we have this one precious gift. It's our life. Let's live it to the fullest and with intention. So I'll see you next time. Be well, my friends. Bye bye. Mm, okay. Hmm. Mhm.